Welcome back to Insurance Talk Texas. I'm here with my co-host, and we have got a lot of ground to cover today because there are 3 laws on the books right now in Texas that could seriously change the outcome of your next insurance claim, your next renewal, or your next rate increase. And most people have absolutely no idea these laws exist. We're going to change that today.
And look, we've touched on some of this territory before, but this is different. This isn't one law. The Texas Legislature passed a whole package of consumer protective reforms that all took effect January 1st of this year. And when you put them together, they shift a meaningful amount of power from the insurance companies back to the policyholder. That's a big deal in a state where home insurance premiums have gone up nearly 50% since 2020.
50%. That number is still wild to me. So here we are, spring storm season is ramping up, hail is coming, and the timing of today's episode could not be more perfect. Before we get into the 3 laws, I want to mention that if you've got questions about your current coverage or you want to know how any of these new rights apply to your specific policy, the folks at Schell Insurance are the people to call. They're an independent North Texas agency. They know this market inside and out, and they can be reached at 972-423-4546. That's SchellInsurance.com. That's SCHELL insurance.com.
Okay, so let's start with the one some listeners may have heard about because we did cover it earlier this year, House Bill 2067. But here's the thing, there's a development on this law that is brand new and most people don't know about it.
Walk us through it.
So the core of HB 2067 is this. As of January 1st, 2026, your insurance company is required to automatically give you a written explanation anytime they decline, cancel, or choose not to renew your home or auto insurance. You don't have to ask, they have to tell you. Under the old rule, you had to formally request an explanation in writing, and most people didn't know that, so they just got a letter saying their policy wasn't being renewed and had no idea why.
Which is infuriating, because how are you supposed to fix something if you don't know what the problem is?
Exactly, and that's the whole point of the law. If your insurer says your roof condition is the reason, now you know. You can get it inspected, address the issue, and shop for coverage with that information in hand. Schell Insurance, for example, can help you figure out what steps to take after a non-renewal to get you back in front of carriers with a strong application.
So what's the new development?
Here's where it gets really interesting. HB 2067 also requires insurers to report their reasons for non-renewals and declinations by zip code to the Texas Department of Insurance, and TDI has to publish that data publicly. That reporting starts in April 2026. We're talking weeks away.
So for the first time, we're going to be able to see which neighborhoods in Frisco, McKinney, Plano, Prosper, which zip codes are being quietly dropped by insurance companies.
Right, and that data has never existed publicly before. Regulators, journalists, lawmakers, and yes, homeowners will be able to see patterns. If a carrier is pulling out of a specific area of Collin County or Denton County, that's going to be visible. That's a meaningful accountability shift.
That is genuinely huge. Okay, so that's law number 1. Let's go to Senate Bill 458 because I think this one is the most actionable right now, given that we are literally heading into hail season.
This is the one I really want every North Texas homeowner to hear. Senate Bill 458 requires all personal auto and residential property insurance policies issued or renewed after January 1st, 2026 to include a binding appraisal provision. And the reason that matters is that many insurers had quietly removed appraisal clauses from their policies in recent years.
Wait, they were just removing them? Consumers didn't know?
That's the thing. When you remove a clause from a policy form and file it with the state, there's no big announcement, it's a policy document change. And what it meant in practice was that if you had a hailstorm, your adjuster showed up, handed you an estimate that felt way too low, and your only option was to accept it or hire a lawyer and go to court. That is expensive and slow, and most people just gave up.
Which is exactly what some insurers were counting on. So SB 458 closes that door. Here's how the appraisal process works now. You select a licensed appraiser. Your insurer selects their own appraiser. Those 2 appraisers independently assess the damage and try to agree on the value of the loss. If they can't agree, they jointly select a neutral umpire. The final number agreed to by any 2 of the 3 parties, both appraisers or one appraiser and the umpire, becomes a binding award.
So you've got a structured process, a neutral third party if needed, and a binding outcome. That's a real alternative to litigation.
It is, and this is specifically valuable right now because spring in North Texas is hail season. If you file a claim in the next few months and you think the estimate is low, you have a legally protected path to challenge it. Don't just sign off on a number that doesn't cover your damages. The team at Schell Insurance can help you understand what your policy says and whether invoking the appraisal process makes sense in your situation.
We should mention this applies to auto policies too, not just homeowners.
That's right, personal auto and residential property. So if your car gets hailed on and the insurance company's repair estimate seems off, same process applies. Okay, so we've got the right to know why you were dropped, the right to challenge a lowball settlement through binding appraisal, and the right to have your premium reflect your current credit profile. What's the single most important action listeners can take this week?
Pull out your current policy and actually read it. Check that it includes an appraisal provision. If you haven't had your credit reviewed in a few years and you think your score may have improved, bring that up at your next renewal conversation. And if you got a non-renewal notice and you didn't get a written explanation, you have the right to one under HB 2067. And if your insured didn't provide it, you can file a complaint directly with the Texas Department of Insurance.
And for all of this, the policy review, the coverage questions, the appraisal process, understanding what your credit score is doing to your rate, Schell Insurance is the place to start. They serve all of Collin County, Denton County, and the broader DFW Metroplex. You can find them at schellinsurance.com, that's SCHELL insurance.com, or give them a call at 972-423-4546.
These laws exist because Texas consumers pushed back. The legislature heard that premiums were too high, that cancellations were too opaque, and that claims disputes were stacked in favor of the carriers. This package is the result of that pushback. Know your rights, use them.
That is exactly the right note to end on. Know your rights and use them. Thanks for joining us on Insurance Talk Texas. We'll see you next week.